When an individual comes for their first appointment for therapy, it's really important to recognise how much anxiety this is likely to cause. They will often have had to wait a long time to get this appointment and will have had all kinds of hopes and fears attached to it. A truly trauma-informed approach to safety starts long before the moment I actually meet them. It should include the kind of communication they receive from the organisation, which should be clear and transparent about what is being offered. The experience of walking into the building should also be considered. Does it feel welcoming, safe, clean? Even the structure of the building itself can reduce the sense of safety. Long corridors with doors all shut, poor lighting, and little signage can be really difficult for someone who's been traumatised. Some of these things may feel outside the professional's control, but little things can make a real difference. For instance, a receptionist who smiles and says hello, a waiting room that has fresh flowers and something to read, a letter or email that gives clear directions on where to go, can all help foster a sense of safety. In my room, I consider the following in relation to the physical environment: a choice of chairs, water to drink, tissues on hand if needed, lighting that is not too bright, pleasant decorations which might include cushions and a rug if needed, grounding tools such as small spiky balls being available, an engagement sign on the door. The way I greet someone if they are in the waiting room is to say my name rather than theirs to protect confidentiality. Then, when we're in the room, I check what they would like me to call them before repeating my name. I try to approach them in a friendly, ordinary manner, noticing carefully where they might be on the window of tolerance. I begin by giving an outline of how much time we have and what are the likely steps after this meeting. I may pause briefly to see if they've anything that they want to say, but too much silence at this stage can feel overwhelming, so I'll often begin by wondering where they feel it might be helpful to start. Although this can be disconcerting for some, it's also a moment in which I'm attempting to be alongside the individual, seeing what's on their mind and following this rather than having my own agenda for how to begin. If they struggle, I might acknowledge how difficult this can be and see what I can do to support them to begin. Ultimately, I think the biggest thing is to try and find a way for the person to begin to explore whether I'm a safe person to be with. And I recognise this takes time and will be different for everyone. Establishing a good working relationship is the best way to establish safety, and it's really important to recognise this takes time. We need to demonstrate our own trustworthiness. It might be important to also say now that safety might occasionally mean having to think about safeguarding. Does this person need formal, external support to be safe in their own life? Often, this means the trauma is ongoing. For example, they're still in a violent relationship, or they are being stalked by an ex-partner. The principles of trauma-informed care still apply here, working alongside the individual to try to address this. But it may also require reflection and advice from the team and potentially the safeguarding leads. It's important to balance action with reflection as much as possible, whilst recognising the need to not take power away from the individual. Safeguarding may mean action is necessary to prevent further harm.